number of people in a similar background as yourself, and it's kind of a different kind of situation there. You know a whole lot of people, but you may not know them very, very well. So, you know, your network is not necessarily only just your friends, because it has to go way beyond that to the people that you might need to contact for this or that kind of input or help. So it requires a little skill, and a lot of people, like myself, found it a little bit difficult to get going on that. But it's kind of a necessary thing if you're going to move ahead in your career. Yeah. So in terms of amateur radio, the bands have been fairly good recently, and 10 and 12 meters have been open, especially in the morning to Europe. And I think in the last several days, I've worked a fair amount of DX from Europe and other places around the world. There's a couple of DXpeditions out there that are generating a little bit of activity. One is in Benin, one of the West African countries. Not very big country. If you look it up, you find, geez, that's just a little sliver of a country. But it's fairly rare. And so these DXpeditions that go there, they can generate a lot of interest. There's also been one on the Caribbean island of St. Bartholomew, which often is referred to as St. Bart's. But that's nearby, of course, and pretty easy to work. And so that's about it from the operating standpoint here. I appreciate, John, the report you gave me on my 2-meter rig on Monday. I was looking to find out just how well it was working since I've gotten it, and I have I was using my J-pole antenna on the chimney outside the house, which gets fairly good coverage, even without the use of a repeater. But of course, with the repeaters down there on the TV towers, you have an immense coverage. I mentioned it, but I think when I talked there on Monday that I fired up the rig early in the day, and I heard all these people on there, but the signals weren't very strong. Okay, that's really curious, because if they're coming to the repeater, they're going to be coming in here gangbusters, because that repeater, is at 2,000 feet, and well, I don't know that's 2,000 feet, but it's up in the air, and it generally runs the meter strength on the rig here all the way up. And these signals I was seeing were much weaker, but they were from foreland. We were getting some ducting or skipped into the area from 400 or 500 miles away. At any rate, back to you there, John. K5LKJ and the group K5LJ.
K5LJ, this is K5LKJ. Well, great to have you check into the stir crazy net, and that's really one of the things that we do try and do. Where the stir crazy net every weekday at high noon on the 146.94 repeater, and that was part of the idea, was to rag cue, get people to talk to each other about amateur radio, but also to help everybody out. We've got a lot of new hams in the club, and we certainly are helping them with choices on equipment and antennas and answering all kinds of questions, and very rewarding to be able to do that. So that's worked out pretty good. But so your transmitter or your transceiver, 2 meters, is it a new one or one you had around the house?
No, it's a new Yaesu dual bander what is it called, an FT 6600 or something like that. It's not one of these newer, these latest models that have all these additional features on it. It's just an old standard dual bander, but it is new. K0DS.
Yeah, Roger. Well, you're right about the duck seat and the skip. There's a lot, yeah, you know, there's a number of other 146.94 repeaters are in this world. One of them's in Beaumont, Texas. One of them's in Austin, Texas. One of them's in Dallas, Texas. And I've heard all of those on our repeater here recently. So the one out of Beaumont seems to be doing the best job. And the skip to the east seems to be, at any rate, that's why we have PL tones, I guess, is to help separate that when necessary. And speaking of that, a nice segue into operational conditions for the RAG unit are going to be changing with the change to off of daylight savings time around, I think it's November 5th, I think is when we make the change. Well, that'll mean that in reality we're on the air an hour later than we are right now. And what that means is since we're going further into the night, the skip will be in, and we will have to deal with things like the Montana traffic net and others. So if you think life is boring on the RAG2 net, just wait. You're in for a ride. But typically what we do, just so you know, when we get there, very often the Montana traffic net starts at 6:30 their time, or our time rather, 6:30 our time, and it runs for about a half an hour or 15 minutes. So we try and usually stand aside if we can hear them. We try and stand aside until they're over with their net before we pick up and start taking check-ins, which is usually about 15 till 7, maybe 10 minutes till 7 in the wintertime. So just wintertime conditions are coming. So I've just wanted to warn everybody to be ready for that. All right. Does anybody else on the net have any additional comments or questions for Larry?
I have a comment, but not for Larry.
Go ahead, comment.
Let me remind you not to forget about Randy.
Thanks for the reminder, Code Net Control. All right, very good. So let's in fact, Roy is keeping me under control here, and I do appreciate that, Roy. So before he gets, speaking of skip, before it gets out of control here, let's give AA50A Randy in Piercy, Arkansas, his turn to talk. So Randy, the question is, do you enjoy networking? That's people networking, and why or why not? If you don't enjoy it, let us know why, and that's what we're interested in tonight. AA50A, Randy, it's your turn to talk.
K5LJK in the net. This is AA50A. I enjoy working with other people and meeting people, especially in our hobby, because I've learned so much about other professions and things that people do in the hobby. That's one thing great about this hobby is the fact that it's so diversified. You can I've learned about everything from garbage collection to making cement and all kinds of things just by talking to people on the radio. There's a number of people in the hobby that are really into other professions other than broadcasting, which is what I was in, or electronics. And so you can learn so much. This hobby is great that way. An update on my Tar Heel antenna is now pulled off the fence, and I haven't contacted Tar Heel about any parts yet or anything like that. I broke the antenna down into two pieces, took it down, and that's probably the way it's going to stay for a while because I have other things at the house that it's going to have to take precedence over that antenna, although I think this one's probably working okay. Right now, money's getting a little tight, so I don't want to blow it more than I have to on the hobby. I think we need to conserve a little bit because the next year is probably going to be a little rough.
This is AA5OA, back to K5LJK, net control. Thank you, John. Okay, Randy, AA5OA, this is K5LKJ. Well, your engine is doing an excellent job. You're running 20 dB over S9 on my very stingy K0DS meter. So, speaking of that, give us a rundown on what the antenna is. Oh, this antenna is an off-center fed dipole. It's up about 45 to 50 feet in the air, hung in a tree, and unfortunately it's not really hung in an inverted V too well, so it doesn't tune well on this frequency. So I'm running it through a Viking MD58 tuner to flatten it out to protect the tuner on my linear amplifier, even though it does have an automatic tuner. I put a manual tuner in line just for this band, because this is the only one that I have any problems on. This is AA5OA, back to K5LJK. John, this antenna is made by a company called Array Solutions. Back to you. Okay, well, boy, it's doing an excellent job for you, and despite the fact that you're having to use a tuner and everything, you're with the power you're running, you're getting into Houston in fine fashion. So I wouldn't worry about these. You can hold off on that Tar Heel for a while and probably be doing just fine, Randy. But always great to hear from you. Randy used to live in this area, I think, in Rosenberg, and of course he grew up in the area where he is right now. So, but Randy, we can't talk to you in person, or at least we can talk to you on the air. Oh, and the other question is, did you think to check into the BVARC meeting last Thursday? This is AA5OA. John, did you ask me if I checked into the meeting on Thursday?
Roger, roger.
Well, I'm not familiar with that. I know that a camera is required. The only way I would be able to do it would be with my iPhone if the meeting is streamed. And is there an app or anything that is needed to do that?
Okay, well, you can, if you have a computer, I guess you can do it with your phone too, for that matter. You go to our on the day of the meeting, just go to our website, and there's a button on there that has the login information, and it'll download that to your computer automatically. If you the way we stream the thing is on an application called Zoom, ZOOM, and but you don't even have to have that. Presentation, and thanks to Zoom and everything, we have presenters not just from our own local area, but from all over the place. We had a fellow out of North Carolina that did a real neat presentation here recently. So you might want to check it out. It's the second Thursday of the month, and you'll get, and also the people that check in by Zoom, you'll actually see them. You know, there are little pictures of them across the top of the screen, and so it'll allow you to keep in touch with the club. Back to you.
Okay, John, K5LJK in the net. This is AA5OA. One question, can I do that through FaceTime on my phone? My computer does not have a camera. I did not put a camera on the computer for security reasons, and so I'd have to use the iPhone.
Well, yeah, if you want to see things, I think that would work. And but also, if you check in via your computer and you don't want to be seen, that's an option. You just click a box, and you'll have voice only. So it's really a very flexible thing. Give it a couple of tries, and if you have any problems with it, let me know, and we'll sort it out for you.
Okay, thank you, John. K5LJK, this is AA5OA, back to net. Thank you, John.
All right, very good, Randy. Thanks for the check-in. Next on the check-in list is my associate, Roy, W5TKZ. Roy, it's your turn to talk.
K5LJK. Oh, sorry, John. K5LKJ, W5TKZ. I was listening to Randy there for years. He has transposed your last two letters of your call. And even though I corrected him a time or two, it's been years ago, I finally gave up, which doesn't make any difference. This is W5TKZ. Don't have a lot going on around here, working on water well. I've had a leak now. It's been a drip leak, not a big leak, for quite some time. So I have ordered parts for it, and I've gotten them in, and I picked up my last two this afternoon. So the first thing tomorrow morning, I'll go to work on that water well and replace that valve that's leaking. But nothing else going on. Every once in a while I do make it to the radio and play radio for a little while. But hey, that's the way it goes. As far as the subject matter for tonight, most of all my networking now is strictly through the club. I don't have any other outbound or outside acquaintances, except for, of course, my neighbors, who I know quite well. But I used to network quite a bit when it was important. But when COVID hit, I just pulled my cell in and or pulled myself into my cell, and I just avoided as much physical contact as I could because of the COVID. But I just don't have the need for the making of new friends, except through the club. And that, as far as I'm concerned, is the top-notch part of it anyway. Okay, John, back to you. K5LKJ, W5TKZ.
W5TKZ, this is K5LKJ. Okay, Roy, well, good luck with that well. That's a pretty important thing for you. That's where you're getting your water from. And of course, you want to get that thing, that leak stopped, and make sure that thing is freeze protected for the winter section there. But anyway, yeah, I agree with you. Amateur radio has really enhanced my life. I'll have to say that for a fact. Most of my friends are amateurs. Of course, I got other friends as well, but I just like the amateur radio aspect. And like Randy was talking about, he's exactly right. Will be not only do our amateurs fun to talk to, but most of them have two other things going for them. Most of them have pretty interesting technical careers that they're doing. You know about all kinds of things in that thing. And then also, most of them have other hobbies in addition to amateur radio, so you learn about all that stuff too. So lots of interesting things to talk about, and makes your life much more enjoyable. That makes my life much more enjoyable. That's what counts. But anyhow, no, it's a great work, and that's why I always feel great when I can encourage somebody to get into amateur. It's going to serve them well, keep them young, help extend their life, and make their life more enjoyable. A winning combination. Does anybody else have any additional comments or questions for Roy?
Ham radio delectable copy. So anyhow, that's the story. Thanks, Dan. Keep having with you.
All right, nothing heard. Roy, thank you very much for the check-in. Great to see you at the lunch bunch today, and We're growing the lunch bunch, and that's what I like to see the most. It's going to keep on trucking. That's really good news. It's W5VOM Bill, but Bill couldn't stay with us. He's in and out. He has some visiting guests coming in, and it's going to be pork loin and veggies on the grill for the menu tonight. So I always like to check out what his menu is like there. And maybe one day Bill will invite me over there. I don't know. I don't think so, but maybe. It could happen. All right. This is K0DS net control station for the B-Bark Ragtune net. If we have any additional check-ins, please come now.
Kilo, Delta 5, Yankee, Oscar, uniform.
What was the date on that again?
K5YOU, John in Pecan Grove. Welcome, John. Thanks for the check-in. Next check-in, please.
Second?
Okay, you're right at my noise level. I hear you in there, and I copied a couple of letters there. Give your call sign a couple of times slowly, please.
November 5, Alpha,
Okay, November 5, Alpha Victor, I copy. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, can you give me your name and QTH, please?
Yeah, the name is Glenn. C-L-E-N-N.
I thought I heard something that it's broken up when I get there. All right. Anything with that?
Greenhouse. Greenhouse and place.
You hear nothing?
Okay, I got your location. I need but I missed your name. Give me your name a couple times slowly, please.
Glenn.
Alberton.
Glenn.
NUSC. Good evening, Roger. More Alberton.
Glenn.
Can't quite. I've got interference here. Can anybody give me a relay?
His name is Glenn, G-L-E-N-N. Alpine, Wyoming.
Okay, Glenn. Sorry for the difficulty there. It's on my end, not yours. So don't sweat it. Thanks for the check-in. We appreciate that. Any additional check-ins, please come now.
Nothing for time to receive.
All right, nothing heard. Back to the list. Next on the list, KI5HOC, John in West Houston. John, it's your turn to talk.
Andrew, Alberta.
Roger,
Good evening, Gordon. The Kilo Boy Saskatchewan.
I don't like going on there. Just been going the rest of the evening. Nice fine weather. Could be a nice day tomorrow, too, if they're telling me how it's going to be. I'm just checking out to see if my antenna see what's going on. Looks like my gauge is really good.
Hi, good evening, Candy. Good morning.
Always just been a long old time. I don't mind being part of the network or networking with people, but it's not
Hold Wyoming.
fees on my own, but I'll work with it when it's available. You know, I'm just not a big activation.
Calgary, Alberta.
It's sometimes even works out.
Pasco, Wyoming.
Net control, this is K5HOC.
KI5HOC, this is K5LKJ. Okay, John, well, that's kind of the way I am. I can network. I can do that, and I have done it for most of my life. You know, I was in sales of all things. You know, I was, but that was a learned experience. I wasn't a born salesman. I had to learn how to do that. And I'll tell you, if I went to a trade show for like 3 days and had to be nice for 3 days straight, I was worn out by the time that I got through the end of the conference, that's for sure. But man, amateur radio, whole different deal. Lots of nice people. That's one of the reasons I like doing net control is you can talk to and meet other amateur hams. They're always nice folks. All right, does anybody else on the net have any additional comments or questions for John? Okay, John, well, your radio's hitting it. Don't worry about it. When the zombie apocalypse comes, you're going to be on the air. No worries about it. No worries at all. Next on the list, W5 Sierra Victor. David in Sugarland. David, it's your turn to talk.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it. K5LKJ in the group, W5SC. And sure was good seeing everybody at lunch that made it. I enjoyed that. And networking, well, I guess I got my introduction to that in ham radio. But I did find that running my mouth got me into trouble. It was career limiting in the Marine Corps. What can I say? But I still enjoy it, and I enjoy ham radio a lot. While as I like DXing and I like some of the digital modes once in a while, I really enjoy rag chewing probably best of all, as you can probably tell by the way I'm going on right now. But yeah, I found it real good. Ham radio got me my first job in electronics because it was through another ham that knew of a job where I worked. And, you know, that got me in. What can I say? It served well in meeting people in other disciplines. I will say that I have only met one other A4 pilot on ham radio, and only a few other people that had careers in law enforcement. But I think that's part of the fun, is that you meet all kinds of people. Everything from employers to lawyers to plumbers to lawyers to doctors to taxi drivers to just about anything you can imagine. Over.
All right.
Roger, Roger. That's exactly my point. A wide, a super wide variety of things, and you know, it's things that I don't normally do, and so that makes it even more interesting. I learn about all these things that I otherwise would have no knowledge of, and that's great too. I like to sail. I've talked to a lot of people who are sailors. I do motorcycles. I've run across people that do that. I like sports cars. I've run across many hams that have that as an interest, other interests also. And then just lots and lots of other things that I would have never dreamed of that people have as additional interest in amateur radio. It makes for a very interesting conversation. And that's where that rag chew part comes in, David. Does anybody else on the net have any initial comments or questions for David?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Good evening, Bill.
Well, David, thanks for checking into the net. I appreciate that, and it was great to see you at the lunch bunch today. We had a great time, didn't we? Next on the list, KJ5Y, Pat, and well, he's located in Pearland, but his station is probably somewhere else. But he'll fill us in on that. Pat, it's your turn to talk.
Hey, John. Good evening, everybody. KJ5Y down here in Bowling, Texas is where the transmitter is, but physically sitting in Pearland. I'm worried I might be bothering the Montana people with this big antenna. They're about to cover you up, John, but most everybody I'm reading pretty well, and I've turned the power back to a couple 100 watts, so it won't bother them too much. But you're running 10 to 20 over, and Roy, oh my God, you were 30 over done. But yeah, I guess I've never met a stranger, John. You know that. I was a salesman at, Radio Shack and at Heathkit too. Heathkit Electronics back in the 70s over on 3705 Westheimer when they were there by Light World. But I really enjoyed. I worked at the Radio Shack at West Belfort down there, Southwest Houston exit. I could go right to it, but I couldn't tell you the cross street. Was it? Anyway, it's right, just just right off of 59 there. I still remember my manager, Jeff Scherer, Sherr. He taught me a bunch. And so then I worked at the repair shop because I was a techie, I was a blabbermouth techie. And so I managed to fix, CB radios. That was a blast. And my uncle, Turkey Electronics, WB5IGX, Glenn Ward, he had the CB shop there on Richmond and Hillcroft, and Don Busick and them set him up, got him going. And long story short, it didn't last. I won't go into the details, but that was fun. I worked for Glenn, and So I guess I got some of my personality from him. But I don't know. Yeah, now I'm a research and development engineer at the big midstream company downtown. And so I've networked with a lot of people at work. That's my big thing. And I've been teaching classes this week. I'm going to Hobbs, New Mexico next week to teach more classes on some of the equipment and systems that we operate at the company here. And so fun stuff, man. I love it. And of course, radio. I love ham radio. I've got 335 countries now, almost at the honor roll level. I've got 7-band DXCC. When do I have time to do radio? I live it vicariously through other people. I make other people make the contacts for me. So I don't know what I've actually talked to at not, but I've got 90,000 contacts in my log and all these contests. I've got a guy in Italy making contacts for me, a guy in Scotland,
Manhattan.
one in Poland. No, a couple in Poland. So I've got them all over the country and all over the world. And I've mentored a guy up in Colorado, Billy. I don't know if you guys have had the pleasure of meeting him. He is cool, man. He's W5HWZ, and he's got a little impairment, but not anything. The guy knows he's a genius. He knows 5 languages, and I got him into code, CW. He taught himself CW, and he's now a 30-word per minute CW guy. He is 20. I think Billy's like 25 years old now. Just a pleasure to talk to. He's a blabbermouth like me, but he's got a little, mental thing. One of these, I can't think of the term for it, thing that besets you, but he's overcome it. He's an overcomer. So I love Billy. He used to be WB0HWZ. And anyway, I'm monopolizing the time. I'll shut up. But if you hear him on the remote here, and I'll tell you one other thing, this remote system is so easy to set up. My friend LIC, is it W5 or K5 or N5? I never can remember with all these prefixes, but LIC got interested in it because he's got an FT991A like I've got here. And within 30 minutes, he had it on the air on remote hams. He said, I want to do that. Tell me what to do. So I told him, go to remotehams.com and download the server. And I told him a couple of things in an email. He had it on that evening. He's working it from Alabama and all his travels he does. He's working 2 meters here with his 991. So it's not hard to do. A total novice that doesn't know anything about the system can put it on their computer and fire it up within 10 minutes and have it running, and it's free. All right, I'll shut up now. K5LKJ in the net, KJ5Y.
KJ5Y, this is K5LKJ. Okay, Pat, well, thanks for that report. And yeah, you're right, Anthony. W5LIC is a relatively new ham. But boy, does he have enthusiasm. I mean, he and also Corey, WX5KR, they're having a ball with amateur radio. And if we could just get about 20 more like them, we would really be hitting it on all cylinders, that's for sure. Yeah, Anthony, he wants to experience everything. He'll hear about something, get excited, and like you say, and within a day or two, he'll be into it for sure. But does anybody else on the net have any additional comments or questions for Pat? W5LIC. W5LIC, go. Well, I just want to thank you very much for the information about the remote. It was great, helped out a lot, like you said, when I went to Huntsville, Alabama, and I'm sure it'll help me out in the long run as I travel when eventually I go and see my new grandbaby in Colorado. So thanks a lot, buddy. W5LIC, back to net control.
37 highway.
Okay, Anthony, well, yeah, that's the remote station operation is just one of the neatest aspects of amateur radio. And then there's people like like Pat, who are building stations and making them available to other amateurs who really are in their normal QTH really challenged to really do great things like they can't do towers and beams and things like that. So it makes all that available to them as well. So what a neat world. All right, and Anthony, by the way, you are next on my list, so it's your turn to talk.
Hey, John, give me the time.
Okay, no problem. So the discussion topic is, do you enjoy networking? And I'm not talking about computer networking. I'm talking about people networking. And if why? If you enjoy it, why? And if you don't enjoy it, why not? Back to you.
I love to network, and the reason I love to network is because I get all this neat information, like the information Pat gave me. That was great. And if you don't open your mouth and talk to people, besides the fact of reading a book and maybe listening on the internet, how are you going to learn? Plus, other people's experiences may not be in that book, and may not be on the internet. Well, you can see some YouTube channels, but you're going to learn a lot more. Plus, I love talking to the club members, and I absolutely love it. I like getting in there and saying hello and meeting them face to face and see what all the club has done in the past and see how we can do it again. Let's see how we can make it work nowadays. You know, you never know. Something may change, and you'll be able to do it nowadays a little bit different than what you did before, but still the same thing. So, you know, with everybody in the club, there's almost 300 members. The last I checked, 299, maybe 300 by now. Shoot, it might even be over 300. You know, it's absolutely amazing what you can learn just by standing in a group of people and networking like that. And then not only that, networking that way, but you can network like normally everybody that talks about me, which I'm really amazed, you know. I'm really shocked to see all the people that actually talk to me and talk about me. It's absolutely amazing. You know, you just talk to one person and do something good, and you keep on going, and it travels, you know. There's, like I said, close to 300 members or more in the club, and my name just goes around all the 300 members and everything that I've done. You know, it's amazing how it just goes around and eventually comes back full circle, and I find out, wow, these guys actually got some good things to say about me. Back to you, John. W5LIC. W5LIC, this is K5LKJ. Okay, Anthony. Well, really do like your enthusiasm in amateur radio. I think that's great, and hopefully we can generate that same kind of enthusiasm in other new members. The club's gonna continue to be a great place to be. Already is, but it'll just keep getting better. Does anybody else on the net have any additional comments or questions for Anthony?
Yeah, hey Anthony, it's Pat, KJ5Y. Shoot me a ping on email or something. I need to get you to set up your publishing so that it says, you know, something more descriptive. I think it says something about a fake radio on my fake station. The default message he has is kind of funny. Maybe you've changed it by now. I don't know. But, yeah, I could help you fine tune that. You could turn off a bunch of the buttons that you don't want people to mess with and whatnot. But it's real easy to do. And another thing, right now, I am live streaming us on YouTube. If you want to round robin people and just have them give their call sign or something, John, I don't know, just a thought, so they can hear what they sound like on the air. I've been recording this whole time, but it's a long segment, and I could tell you the time mark so you could just tune in to where we all talk or something. But anyway, just a thought. But we're on YouTube, and the search term will be Kilowatt Zero Delta Sugar, K0DS, and with today's date. And the reason that call sign is I'm the manager of that station. It's in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and that's another one of my remotes. Yeah, so long story. I'll tell you about that one later. But that Benjamin, one of the guys I met on the remote ham system, is the trustee for that, and he's K5 Alpha Whiskey. And I don't know if you've talked to Benjamin before. He's in France, actually. So he's F4FPR, and he's a volunteer examiner over there. But anyway, Anthony, I just wanted to say that, and I'll shut up. But I'm streaming us live right now with that YouTube service, Streamlabs. KJ5Y. Go ahead, John.
All right, Pat, thanks for those comments. That's really helpful, and thanks for working with Anthony. I know he'll really enjoy working remote stations. It's just a great amateur feature that our specialty that really enhances our amateur abilities. Let me get right to the next person on the list. That's K0DS, Robert in Bel Air. Robert, it's your turn to talk.
Hello, John, and everybody on the net. I almost didn't recognize my trying out a brand new Q5 single Papa Charlie. It used to be Kilo India Ball single Papa Charlie. So, anyhow, it feels good to use it. The first time I used it on the air besides FTA, and I don't know, that doesn't really count. But anyway, back to the topic. I think naturally I am a loner. My wife and I are kind of hermits. The pandemic has really made us hermits. I think the only person in the club, I haven't been a member all that long, but the only person in the club that actually knows me face to face is Anthony. He can vouch for me that I actually exist and I'm not a computer voice or recording or something like that. But as a lot of people know, I have lupus and I take medicine that makes me suppressed on purpose. So obviously I'm still hiding from COVID. But back to the question, I've met most like in working career, I've done everything from law enforcement to diplomat in the U.S. Foreign Service, financial analyst. I've done kind of all sorts of stuff. But with working, I have no problem whatsoever networking. I can do pretty much anything that's required of me for a job. But when it comes to me, who I am, I'm really kind of a hermit, and I would say the pandemic has really made me a hermit. But I'm fortunate that my wife is a hermit too, so we're pretty well matched. Anyhow, good topic, John. You always have good topics. So this is Kilo 5 Tango Papa Charlie without India.
K0DS, this is K5LKJ. Okay, Robert, well, congratulations again on the new call. And, well, if you have a disease that knocks your immune system down, that's gonna shape how you behave in some ways. Not so much just about networking, but maybe that might not be a healthy thing for you to do even. So I understand about that. I have hated the fact that the COVID emergency has done so much damage to our country and to our people for the last or since March of 2020. I mean, it's just had a horrible effect. No networking. It's turned for about a year there. Turned all of us into hermits, and I just didn't enjoy that at all. I'm glad to see that the pendulum swinging back the other way, at least to my way of thinking. So does anybody? Oh, by the way, Robert, you're going to have to say hi when you have a chance to W5SV David. David just made this comment that he hardly runs into anybody in amateur radio who's been in law enforcement. So you'll have to talk to him about that. He'll be surprised. All right. Does anybody else have any additional comments or questions for Robert? All right, nothing heard. Back to the list. Next on the list, WX5KR. Corey and also Anthony are both net control operators for the Stir Crazy net that we do at noontime on the 146.94 repeater. And Corey, I think you may have set a new record because Corey started the net up at 12 o'clock, and I I had to go out and run an errand around 1:45, and he was still on the air, and he thinks he may have gone to 2:45. Now, buddy, that is a net, and that is some rag chewing for sure. But boy, he's got the knack, I'll tell you. So, Corey, it's your turn to talk.
All right, John. Well, thank you for that. And as far as the net, not quite a record, but the record is 3.5 hours. So a little over 30 definitely a very good net. And at 30 seconds, real happy with that. So, otherwise, as far as the topic, I'd say I don't really care for networking, but as a matter of fact, I got into ham radio as part of a plan to build a network a little bit. I figured they were some technically minded folks, and I had no idea what I was getting into, but boy, after it was amazing. Be a huge part of my life going forward, I think. So this opportunity to network with folks has been fantastic, and it might have changed my mind a little bit about doing some more networking in the future. A lot of